3, 2, 1. Command has been given. Crank him up.
Let's go. When I say I don't know, I don't know.
Let's go, baby.
Now, the morning drive.
Buckle up, everybody.
A little bit of this and a little bit of that.
It's a game changer.
I listen to you guys every single day on my way to work.
Well, again, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on the radio.
You guys are amazing.
What are you doing over there?
I'm going to the top.
The morning drive with Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone.
To the bat balls.
Sirius XM, NASCAR Radio, Channel 90, live and on the air for this Monday morning, May 8th, 2023. Mike Bagley here in Kansas City, Kansas. Pistol Pete Pistone back in the Paisan Palace in Chicago. We've got Sammy and Davey in Studio 134 of the Beltway Bureau at our nation's capital. We welcome each and every one of you to this Monday morning and happy day one of the work week to you, Triple P.
Good morning, Bagman. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to one and all. Brand new week here on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio after a great weekend in Kansas and a slam-bang finish to Sunday's Cup Series race there at the Advent Health 400.
It was a hot day. It was a slick day. It was a day of emotion, and it was an instant classic in the Advent Health 400.
From Kansas Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
It is race number 12 of 2023, the Advent Health 400. The Kansas Speedway, the crowd on their feet, and the green flag is in the air on the front row. A couple of Hendrick Chevrolets. Willie B. William Byron on the inside to his outside. That's Kyle Larson.
He looks to the bottom for the lead once again into turn number one. He's got room for the slide job if he elects to pull it off. Slides up across the nose. New leader, Kyle Larson.
Reddick's got his eyes on the lead, but he's got to get to Kyle Larson to do it. And he's right there. He's going to try to stay on the bottom, and they may have made contact. Kyle Larson goes around. He'll keep the car pointed in the right direction, stands on the brakes, keeps it below the white line, and the caution flag flies.
Yeah, all good, man. Well, apologize. I know you didn't mean to do it.
I don't. It's just vibrating really bad, so I'm afraid to go a whole lot faster.
That's fine. Go and bring it to us then.
Long gone as Martin Truex Jr. has set the hook and reeled in Tyler Reddick. He's going to waste no time. He hangs the left turn, goes to the bottom for the lead off turn two.
Now our first penalty handed out. It's handed out for speeding to William Byron. Byron's going to have to do a pass-through penalty under these green flag conditions.
Trouble in turn number two. William Byron got loose coming midway between turns one and two. Side slapped the outside wall. Bounced off it a couple of times. He maintains his momentum. Is back up to speed.
So here they come off of turn number four. Green and white checkered flag is in the air, and Denny Hamlin for the fourth time this season is going to pick up a stage win side by side. A couple of Toyotas. First one to bust out of line, Ryan Blaney. He'll stack them three wide.
Three wide for the number three position. That'll leave Daniel Suarez in the middle. Ty Gibbs on top. Suarez will get a bit of an advantage. Now he's loose. He gathers it up and everybody gets away.
Ty Gibbs is in the wall in three.
Ty Gibbs into the fence in turn number three. Out front, a Chevrolet. That's Kyle Larson. A trio of Toyotas line up right behind.
Larson getting the most for now, but here comes a hard-charging Bubba Wallace to his inside. He's going to take a peek this time to the inside of Larson off turn four. Larson has no fight in the car topside. Bubba Wallace will fly by to the outside and take the top spot away. Look out on the back straightaway. One car spinning to the inside of the racetrack. It's Christopher Bell. He'll make hard contact into the safer barrier. The Sirius XM Toyota breaking loose, spinning to the inside. Seabell going for a wild ride halfway down the back straightaway. Around on the back straightaways, Kyle Busch. Kyle will spin to the bottom of the back straightaway. Hard impact into the safer barrier. Contact with Kyle Busch. Saw him spin to the inside and make contact with the inside wall. Solo car incident on the back straightaway.
We got the right side, guys. Mostly on the right rear. Oh, it's done. God, it's broke. Done.
Joey with a fender out front. Alex Hayden will pick up the stage two win. 97 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Side by side. Back in one.
Kyle Larson immediately to the lead. Denny Hamlin trapped in the middle as they're looking three wide back around fifth place. Ty Gibbs down low. Bounces off Martin Truex Jr. Gibbs loops it. Sideways off two. Heading for the inside wall, locks her down. Mike Bagley, can he keep it out of the fence?
It's looking like he can, but at the last moment, he'll snuggle up right against that safer barrier. Ty Gibbs, a victim of hard racing. Larson's going after Truex for the lead.
He goes to the inside lane. Does Kyle Larson go all the way to the bottom of the racetrack by the grass? New race leader, Kyle Larson takes it.
Double back straightaway, one car up and into the outside retaining wall. A long, smoky slide down the backstretch for Noah Gragson.
Off turn number 4, and it gets tight there. Larson had to bail out of it. His teammate William Byron through the block. Byron will cross over and go for the lead.
Byron to the inside on Corey LaJoie. That'll be no contest. He drives underneath him in turn number 1. Now here comes Larson to the outside of Corey LaJoie. Larson got the wall. Larson strokes the wall midway between 2, and here comes Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin has shaved it down to 3 car lengths as both try to navigate the Chase Briscoe lap car. Chum is in the water for Denny Hamlin. Here he comes. It's down to 2. It's down to 1 in this battle for the lead.
Denny Hamlin will have one more shot because there's only one more lap in this event. Here they come to the line. 1 car length separating Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin. They're back in 1.
Larson goes to the top of the racetrack. Hamlin is right there. He looks to the inside. Larson gets a piece of the fence. Here comes Denny Hamlin. They're side by side. Larson brushes the wall again.
Whoa, Hamlin gets into Larson. Larson's in the fence. Hamlin will make the move. Larson will regroup. Denny Hamlin takes the lead on the back straightaway and pulls away from Larson.
Off turn number 4, checkered flag in the air. Denny Hamlin will win the Advent Health 400 at Kansas Speedway.
Hell yeah, boys. Great. So proud of you guys. So proud of you, Denny. So proud of this race team. What a fight, Denny Hamlin. So proud of you, pal. Forward, man. Proud of you guys. Pit crew, awesome recovery this week, man. Great job. Keep me in it.
That's how it sounded yesterday at the Kansas Speedway on the Motor Racing Network. What a day it was, and what a last lap that was, and some post-race shenanigans as well. Denny Hamlin becoming the 9th different winner in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2023. Petey, your thoughts?
Well, if you had to sit down and say, let's put this together to say we want to create a great NASCAR race, you could check pretty much every box of what I saw yesterday at Kansas Speedway. It literally had everything. It had passing, it had drama, it had high emotion, it had guys mad at one another, it had 37 lead changes among 12 different drivers. That's a record if you're keeping score at home. And Mike, you know, you and I have talked about this a lot. We love going to Kansas for a lot of reasons. The racing has been the centerpiece of the reason to go to Kansas for a lot of the most recent years. There's something about that racetrack that has created events like what we saw yesterday. And at the end of it all, I guess we owe an apology to the odds makers out there, the boys in the desert, because we asked last week, well, how do you make Denny Hamlin the favorite? What's he doing as the favorite, or the numbers he was? And he was the favorite yesterday going into the weekend, and that's why. Another win for him, a big win for the 11 team, 49 career Cup Series victories now for that race team, or that driver, I should say, and Denny Hamlin. For me, Mike, it had it all. Everything that you would want out of a NASCAR Cup Series race, I think, was on track yesterday at Kansas Speedway.
I agree with you. I think a lot of boxes were checked with this race yesterday. And I think one of the things that helped it was the weather. It was very hot. It was 90 degrees. It wasn't stifling hot, like with all the humidity, like we see at other places, like what we could see at Darlington this coming week, where they're closer to water. It was a dry heat, but it was hot, but the track was very slick. And we saw drivers lose control of their race cars that don't normally do. And those cars were slipping and sliding around. And I think that with that, coupled with what I thought was a great Goodyear tire wearing, it had all the key elements, and it gave us what we got yesterday, and including some drama there on the final lap.
Well, the perfect storm was there. You're right about that. The tire was perfectly matched up with the race car. The race car and the tire were perfectly matched up with the conditions of the racetrack and all that. Now, there was certainly some frustration, as you mentioned. Lots of guys, when you look at the caution flags, there were 11 of those for 57 laps, and a lot of those were some of those single spins that we heard you and Dave describe in the broadcast yesterday. But there were other guys who were just frustrated about, the aero and getting close to someone and the turbulence that causes and all that, and I understand that as well. But that mile and a half racetrack and this race car, just like last year. And the good thing is last year we had a lot of tire issues when teams were being really aggressive with setup and camber and air pressure. We didn't have any of that yesterday. I mean, it all worked out, and a battle at the end. It was reminiscent to me, not exactly the same, Baggy, but it was reminiscent of me watching Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, like watching Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch at Chicagoland Speedway a few years ago. That it reminded me watching it the same exact thing, and that's what you like. You want that. You want two guys. Now, again, there's some controversy, as you mentioned. Denny Hamlin making contact. There's no doubt he did with Kyle Larson. Did Kyle Larson check up? I don't know. Kyle said afterward, I wanted to see the videotape, didn't really talk about it. But we know Denny Hamlin has been a guy who's been very critical of people who make contact on the racetrack for position, even if it's the last lap. I didn't hear Denny say anything yesterday about, well, you know what, sometimes you got to dish it out. But, I think, in my opinion, Denny now has to know if it happens to him again on the last lap, he's got to take it because he did it yesterday. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. Kyle Larson finished second last time I checked, didn't put him in the wall and crash him, but there was that kind of give and take between the two. But it was a great battle. And afterward, Denny Hamlin one win away from 50 as a NASCAR Cup Series driver, and well-deserving with he and Chris Gabehart and that whole crew yesterday.
I don't think Denny Hamlin did anything wrong. I thought it was last lap. White flag is in the air. You're trying to get back to the start-finish line. Larson got a little jammed up coming out of 2 and had to check up there, and Denny's not lifting. You lift, you're going to lose all your momentum. And at that moment, I think that in the heat of the battle, in that split-second decision, in Denny's quest to cut to the left, he clipped the 5, put him in the fence, but I don't think anything there was no premeditation or anything sinister from what I saw with the way they were racing coming down to the line. It was just a racing incident that resulted in contact and the 5 going to the wall. I will say this, though. When I was climbing down from that Ally billboard in turn 3 and I was walking back to the car, I could tell Denny had gotten out of the car because the booze rained upon him, because there are a lot of pro-Larson people in those grandstands yesterday, and they let Denny Hamlin have it when he got out. And now that's what it sounded like. I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together, because there was a lot of emotion coming out of the grandstand. First for Denny, and then other shenanigans that happened on pit road that we'll get to here in a little bit. But the crowd was very involved yesterday, and they let Denny Hamlin know that they weren't necessarily pleased with what happened coming to the checker flag.
Your ears did not deceive you. There were a lot more boos coming out of those grandstands. And you know what? Even in driver intros, I mentioned that earlier when we were talking to someone at the track yesterday, even in driver intros, felt like Denny got more boos than Kyle Busch or even Joey Logano. So for whatever reason, some of the fans not enamored with him. But you're right. I think there are a lot of Kyle Larson fans there for sure yesterday. And at the end of it all, though, there was Kyle Larson over here being interviewed as the second-place finisher and Denny Hamlin celebrating in victory lane.
Now, speaking of Joey Logano, I can't wait for him to join us tomorrow on Behind the Wheel, because he labored in the back for the majority of that race, and then through some pit strategies and a Paul Wolf special, I believe, he was able to finish in the top 10. Pete, I don't know how, because that Ford Mustang was off. I don't want to say off the pace. They needed obviously more speed. They were not a top 10 car for 3/4 or maybe even 7/8 of that race yesterday.
I don't know how they finished 6th. I'm with you. They were so far off in the first 2 stages, and I was listening a little bit to their in-car radio. There was frustration, but they stayed with it, and they finished 6th. And I'll tell you what, I'd say the same thing about the team that finished 3rd with William Byron and Rudy Fugle. Outside of Locust and a dust storm, I don't know what else they could have gone through in the first part of that race yesterday, and yet they were able to come back and finish 3rd. So there were a lot of guys that perseverance certainly paid off, and I certainly think Byron and Logano are on that list.
Coming up, you'll hear from the top finishers in the Advent Health 400 here at the Kansas Speedway. We'll also give you headline check number 1 at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll get into checker flags and black flags. We'll take yours at 866 Pit Lane. Also on Twitter at SiriusXM NASCAR, hashtag TMD NASCAR. We've got the calendar for you around 8:50 Eastern this morning. Speaking of William Byron and Rudy Fugle and that number 24 Liberty University Chevrolet, Rudy will join us at 9 a.m. in the East as we begin our debrief from race 12 of the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season. TMD brought to you in part by our friends at Boot Barn. Boot Barn, proud supporters of the West.